Hi everyone, we are live for this sixth edition of the book club engagement in storytelling, the rules of engagement in storytelling. And I'm just checking first the tech practicalities to see if we are live on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So on YouTube first. Are we live right now? Let me know. Normally, yes, we are live. I'm going to mute. And welcome also for the LinkedIn users. So normally we are live also, and Jay is already on the stage. What a blessing! We are live, and I expect an amazing session for this sixth rule of engagement in storytelling, creating an air of expectation. It will be amazing. Let me welcome already the maestro, Mr. J. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Ali. Appreciate it.
With joy. It's a blessing to spotlight you since already a sixth session. This is the sixth session for the sixth rule of engagement. And let me just, I was a bit late in my note taking, so I didn't catch all the subsection, but I was noting the introduction, captivating content previews, interactive storytelling, content sequencing, cultivating community engagement, the stage, raising, crafting the climax, establishing investment, building tension and suspense, creating memorable climaxes, so multiple, psychology of anticipation and suspense, and understand your audience psychology, engage the senses. I didn't take my lavender, but all is fine. A cup of coffee, my Italian machine. Oh, Oula. So that's my Italian machine ready to pour some coffee. And so that's for the sense experiment with pacing, target practice, and narrative navigation storytelling versus content creation. So, Mr. J, what could we expect today from you and from us? And feel free on the audience to ask any question or to comment. You are welcome. So, Jay, you have the mic right now.
Thank you, Ali. As we always do, in each chapter, I kind of hint at what's to come in that chapter, and coincidentally, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So here it is: create an air of expectation. Right, build anticipation and suspense in the audience by hinting at forthcoming events or developments. It will keep them eager to see what will happen next. The way I would equate this to something that we're familiar with is the music in a horror movie. I know I've said that a couple of times before, but really it it really is that moment in a scary movie where you start to hear the music come on, that suspenseful music, or that eerie sound of music that comes on right before the monster or the killer does something horrific. And really, I'm trying to paint a picture to make people understand that's what we're doing when we're creating that air of expectation. We're building to that climax. We're building to what will happen next. And you can, as the audience member, a lot of times you can see what the character will do next based on your own experiences, right? When you're looking at it from your lens, your experiences, things that you encountered in your life, you're going to see how that character develops. You're going to see how they interact with others. And you're going to know inwardly, like, something's going to happen here. Maybe this person is going to meet the love of their life, right? And that's creating the air. So it's really, and I there's a couple of quotes or a couple of sentences in here that I just kind of want to talk about. And what it is, again, to paint the picture, right? It's in storytelling, think of anticipation as the prelude to your favorite band's concert, where the faint whispers of forthcoming guitar solos leave the audience on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting the band's climactic crescendo. If you've been to a concert a few times, usually the band members have their solo so that they can highlight them, right? And then you see, once every member of the band has their turn, and usually they end with a guitar solo, there's a huge explosion of music and it reaches this climax, what they call a crescendo in music. And that is really the composition of a song, and especially modern concerts. So similarly, in storytelling, the art lies in dropping subtle hints, foreshadowing, foreshadowing events, and teasing developments that beckon the audience to journey further into the narrative. It's similar to, if you watch a series, right? If you've ever binge watched an entire series over the weekend, and I'm sure many of you have, right? The next episode, right before the episode that you're watching ends, they tease what's going to happen next. And you're going to go, man, I want to tune in for the next one. And every time it happens, right, you're like, man, I need to go to sleep. Man, I need to do the dishes. Man, I need to go get lunch. But I want to know what happens next. Is you wait to the end and you see that next episode come up and you see, like, okay, yeah, uh, Jimmy is actually going to be saved, but I wonder how they do it. Okay, I got to go get lunch and then I'll be right back, and then I'll get up again. Or, yeah, honey, I'll come to bed, but I just got to find out what happens in this next episode. Right? And then, of course, your wife or your spouse will go, you better not watch the next episode without me. But that's essentially building the anticipation. And there's a phrase we use now in the same way. Let's stick with the analogy of the series, but also think of it this way. We've heard the phrase "distance makes the heart grow fonder." What does that mean exactly? Well, we're longing for the next time we're going to be able to see the person we're just now leaving. We're going to be counting down the days of when we'll be able to return home. We're counting down the days when we're going to be able to see our loved one again, our friend, our family member. And and so that's where distance makes the heart grow fonder. But if you're thinking about distance in the sense of time, that distance between the next series, you want them, the audience, to stay tuned and to get to the next episode. And then that's when you do the little teaser. In the news business, usually, especially in America, you'll see them out and covering a story. You'll see reporters out covering stories. And while they're out on the field, they'll be pointing to something that, um, so let's say there's a house fire. And during that house fire, the reporter comes on the scene and you go, look, right behind me, fire has just occurred. And we want to be able to show you that tonight at 6, right? And it's 1 p.m. when the fire occurred. So what's happening is you're building that expectation. You're building really the suspense. Oh, I want to know what happened. Did somebody, you know, get hurt? Did they make it to the hospital? Did they not? Did they not make it at all? And so when you're crafting these stories, you want to be able to think about that. So when you're talking about fictional stories too, you want to think about content sequencing, right? Just like when the chapters in the book build upon each other, businesses can strategically sequence their content to build anticipation and suspense. What are we going to do next with this product? What are we going to reveal about the product? Right. A lot of times, especially when you're dealing with cars, they'll show, you'll see this many times, they'll show parts of the car, right, before it actually gets revealed. You'll see the tires, the rims, you know, the bumper, the front end, the back end, and then maybe some other parts of the car, and then the full reveal occurs. But crafting a cohesive narrative arc that unfolds across multiple touch points, be it social media posts, email newsletters, or blog series, businesses can work at creating intrigue, leaving the audience yearning for the next chapter. Now that we've shown you the bumper, the front end, right? The what it looks like, let's bring you into the interior. Ooh, what's there? Right? Do we have Napa leather? Is it supple? What do we have on the interior? And that again, it's just building that suspense, the anticipation of what's going to happen next. So there's many parts there's different subsections. Captivating content previews. So really looking at this, it's a sneak peek into an upcoming product launch, sort of a tantalizing glimpse of behind the scenes action. So again, let's stick to the automotive industry, right? So if you want to go behind the scenes, a lot of times, especially if it's a new vehicle or a new sort of edition, or they're revamped the style of the vehicle, you'll see cars that have a leaked view of the vehicle, right? Like a lot of times these leaks are, and I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it really isn't a leak, it's planned. Right before they actually do the launch, you'll see, bits and pieces of the car, or the car covered in this like sort of like a plastic covering, so that you don't see the actual style of the vehicle, but oh, we see hints of this and that. And a lot of reporters will report on that. And that just again kind of builds towards the anticipation even before you actually start your marketing campaign. But I think that's, for me, and I know some people, I've talked to some people in the industry that like there, it's too coincidental that this occurs quite frequently to be not be planned. But I would venture to say that things like that, where there's leaked information, or information where, or views of a vehicle, especially, that is part of their marketing campaign. And real quickly, Chris joined us on stage, and maybe Ollie would like to have a conversation. But interactive storytelling, and here we are, right? We do this a lot, especially those of us who are creators on LinkedIn and LinkedIn live events, right? This is par for the course. Um, a lot of us invite people on the stage to have a conversation. Now, interactive storytelling is really shining the light on engagement. There's actual feedback when you do these live events, but more so, there's many other things on LinkedIn, because we're currently on LinkedIn, that you could do that would allow people to participate even before the actual live event. You can do a poll. Um, do you think that anticipation is what's going to be important to promote the next part of your product or service? Right. So we could do that and have that poll put out there. And that right there is that anticipation, building that anticipation. Oh, we got another person. Crystal,
Hello.
the phoenix has risen.
Yes.
Yeah, hello, Chris, and hello, Crystal. So first, I will give the mic to Mr. Chris on stage. Thank you so much for joining, and also Crystal. So, toot, 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 toot. Oh, Mr. Chris, I have to probably it's my side. So sorry. Try again. Sorry.
No problem at all. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy President's Day. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me, Jay and Ollie. But I'm going to defer and let the lady go first. So, Crystal, feel free to go first.
Oh, what a
Thank you.
gentleman.
Yes. Well, I I did want to show, especially you, my chocolate lotus flower Ollie, what Matt got me for Valentine's Day because you are going to love it. Grumpy Bunny! Isn't it the cutest bunny ever? Oh my god. Sorry. The running joke is that Matt has a resting dick face. Excuse my language, but you guys get the reference. So I told him that I have named the bunny Matt Jr. And so, but
Let me introduce my buddy. I don't show him really often on camera, but here is also my teddy bear, my buddy. So hey, so happy Valentine's Day, and what a gift! What a gift
yeah.
to see. It was unexpected, and it's why a story is amazing. It's when there are things that are unexpected, like the presence of Crystal and of Chris. So, Crystal, what do you want to say more?
Um, I love it when you have Jay sharing the storytelling strategies because I do learn a lot, even if I do team replay. And I love, I really do. I love hearing you talk, Jay. I really do. You have an amazing voice. I mean, honestly, you just have that storytelling voice, you know? Um, a lot of people have told me, that I should do Audible, that I should record books. And I think to myself, I'm like, no, the person that needs to is Jay because of the way you animate everything. And we've talked about this before, you know? Um, but if you want to make like a mini course, I will help you promote it and sell it as long as you're willing to donate a little. If you're willing to donate to the foundation that I'm starting. um, sorry, I'm not trying to hijack you guys. I just Ollie knows a little bit about it. And I actually formally announced the start that I'm starting to build it last night. So
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
You are creating the air of expectation right now. You are applying the exact section that we are talking about today. Well done, Crystal. So now
dropping
we are
breadcrumbs, as I like to
hooked.
say.
Yeah, we are hooked about knowing the rest of the chapter of your amazing adventure. So
Kind
no,
of like
Mr.
writing a
Chris.
chapter in an anthology.
Oh, why not? Yeah, why not?
I
So
mean,
no, yeah.
so I had wanted to say hi and show you my bunny and just give this love and support that you guys all deserve. I do actually have a call in like 10 minutes, but I saw the link and I try to jump in and support where I can. I always do team replay, especially when I see you two together because your content is really amazing. I have learned a lot and I actually have been implementing it because I'm rewriting Rise of Crystal Phoenix. Now that I've got more writing under my belt, I'm rewriting it and I'm going to publish it as a second edition. And I am actually implementing a lot of what I've learned in this series
Hmm.
that you've done into my writing style. So I want to say thank you.
Um,
You really have broadened my writing style, and I was happy with my writing style. So this isn't a bad thing. It's just given me a way to branch out in areas that I was struggling with my storytelling. I think that's why I was so comfortable with doing the anthology and short story and listening to your lives and your content has actually given me some light bulbs and clarity on how to build my stories in a different, more fulfilling way to be able to grab my audience, but still not traumatize because of what the story is,
oh
you know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
It will be an
really
amazing.
appreciate
It
the
it
the
will be an
series. I really do.
Yeah, it will be an amazing surprise. Surprise.
So, so yes, Uncle Jay, big
I
hugs
got the
and um, massive thank you for all that you do. And I love you, my chocolate lotus flower. That's a
Mm,
ongoing. Chris, you don't know about that nickname. Jay's heard me call him that plenty of times, but Ollie and I have this like thing with
It's all right.
us
I'm cool
with
with nicknames.
nicknames and things. Um, when we first started talking, he with my phoenix, he had also, you know, said that I was beautiful like a lotus flower. So, but I have evolved into a kitty phoenix, and she sits in a lotus flower because of Ollie's inspiration. So, ever since then, I've called him my chocolate lotus flower. So that's
yeah,
the
and
backstory on why.
yeah, and
All
also
right.
because a phoenix has multiple lives as a cat. Also, that's impressive.
Mhm.
I like-
So, but I love you guys, but I have a meeting with the Dark Angels, another group that I'm working with in like 5 minutes, and I need to go get a drink. So I will be team replay for the rest. But thank you again. I wanted to let you know that personally, how much this series has really impacted just my writing alone. And I do really appreciate it. So,
Mm,
and nice to meet you in a live, Chris. We've spoken, on LinkedIn. So,
Yeah, it's nice to meet you in a live. Pleasure. Good luck
but
with the
yeah, like
book
I
and
said,
congratulations on the launch.
oh,
mm.
oh, once you get to know me, you'll realize I've always got some project coming up that I'm working on, don't I? I've always got something exciting going on. So, and
yeah.
Ollie, don't forget you said you were gonna do a T-shirt with me on Sunday for the clothesline thing.
Ooh. Ah, yeah. I thank you for remembering. I have so many things on my head right now. So thank you so much.
So I looked down and I was like, oh yeah, T-shirt. Got to remind you because you did say you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
gonna
exact.
try and join Mac and I for the project clothesline when we actually like made the shirts all together on Sun, and that's Sunday. I'll send you the link and everything. Love you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks,
That's
Chris.
you and thank you. That's amazing, creating the air of expectations for what's coming next. That's incredible. So now, Mr. Chris, you have the mic.
So what is the theme of the room again, Ali? What's the I joined a little late, so I want to make sure I stay on topic
So
with what Jay's talking about.
yeah, so the topic is creating an air of expectations, and here is the plot. Build anticipation and suspense in the audience by hinting at forthcoming events or developments. It will keep them eager to see what will happen next.
Fair enough. That's actually one of the reasons I'm building my audio show that's going to be going live every Friday at 6 is to figure that out. As the NGO begins to spin, I want to have a place to interact live with my customers or the people we'll be serving, I should say, in real time to get feedback from the audience to be like, we like this, we don't like this. We like the direction you're going with that. Here's what we're thinking. Because I really want to be able to hear from the people that I'm building for, that I'm bringing a solution they actually want. So
Hmm.
that's how I'm going to be using it, is building anticipation for my NGO through my audio show every single Friday at 6.
Hmm. Can't wait to know more. So, Mr. You thoughts?
Yeah, I think that what we've heard today are really fine examples of individuals, people, businesses preparing us for what will happen next. And as businesses, right, you have control over your narrative of that business. Um, and really, you want to be able to do that to be able to keep those in the audience engaged. Right? We're talking about the rules of engagement in storytelling. And in order for you to do that, you just kind of set that expectation out there. This is what's going to happen next. There's an entire department that is usually created and exists for this reason alone. And it's called usually client or customer retention. And retention, right? Retaining somebody's attention, right? You have to work in tandem with the marketing department, right? Crafting these stories to make sure that you're holding on to those customers, those clients that have already built a rapport or a relationship with you. And in the contact center business, retention is key. If you're looking at this from a business standpoint, it's so much easier to retain a customer, right? The investment on resources, time and money and staffing than it is to acquire a new customer or client. The amount that of time and effort and all of those things expended on trying to pull a customer from a whole different pool, from a whole different audience, you have to build up that rapport. But if you've already got somebody's attention, you've already had them purchase something in the past, you want repeat customers. You kind of want them to understand that we're not done. You know, this relationship that we got going on. Hey, hold on a minute. You've bought that piece of equipment. Well, guess what? There's an upgrade. Stay tuned. It's coming in a couple of months from now. You're going to want to stay tuned to that because there's going to be some features that you're going to want to implement. And so just that alone I think is important to understand. When we talk about narratives, it's not just the type of stories that we tell one another, but how we tell it and why that's important. And setting that expectation, setting expectations, especially, we'll stay with the business. Imagine you as an employee, right? You're a brand new employee. You already had an idea about what this company is about, but you have some questions now. Are we really doing what we're supposed to be doing as a company? Are we responsible? Are we going to be negatively impacting the environment? How do we know these things? And in order for you to retain the employees, you have to set the expectation right from the beginning what this company is about. Hey, by the way, we've got a company manual. Not that many people, not that many companies do have that these days, but here we are. Got a manual here. And in this manual, we've got culture, mission, vision, right? These three things. These three things are key for especially brand new employees to understand what's going to happen next in their career, where they want to be able to be with the company in a year or two, hopefully 5 years from now, right? And if the culture, mission, and vision all align with me, the employee, those expectations are going to be met more so than if I did not understand the expectations. The same is true for potential negative impact. If you're not performing as the employee, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, hey, by the way, I've got that manual we talked about that you were wanting because you want to know the culture, mission, and vision. Well, it works kind of both ways now. I'm as the employer, I want you to understand that the expectation here on this end is for you to meet your quota, meet the KPIs, meet the SLAs, and all the letters that come with working in this company. Right? If you don't want so KPIs, key performance indicators, SLAs, service level agreements. These are expectations, goals, right? The goal of the company, the goal for you in this company. I'm setting the expectation. So storytelling and narratives are important in everything that we do, especially the sixth rule of engagement, and that's setting the expectation. What's going to happen next? Right? It's important. And personal narratives are just the same as well. You know, we just celebrated Valentine's Day, right? Sometimes you want to surprise the one you love, right? With, you know, a quick run to the flower shop and you bring back a bouquet and things. But what about setting up a romantic night out without the surprises? Here's what we do. We tell our loved one, hey, Friday, I really want to take you out on the town. You know that new restaurant with the Michelin star chef? We're going to go to that. I set this up months ago. I want you to come with me. I want us to have a nice dinner. I already got that planned out. And then afterwards, I want to go to this nice club. It's not crazy, just to hang out, have a good time. So here you are, setting the expectation. These are the things we're going to be doing, the activities we're going to be planning, and you're going to be part of it, right? And this is everyday life, right? So you're setting the stage for what is to happen next. And the crescendo, the climax, is reached when you're actually going through it and you're experiencing it. And in storytelling, the climax, the crescendo, you're bringing people along with you, and then you're hitting those marks, right? So you're you're leading them all along the way. Here's what's going to happen next. And I'll leave one more last analogy. If you've ever gone hiking or if you've ever visited any of the national parks and you have, if you're lucky enough to have a guide, maybe even a ranger take you out, and they bring you through certain parts of the trail, these hikes, they can point out certain features, certain historical places, things like that. And then sometimes, usually, it ends with a place that's really sort of the pinnacle of why you're on this hike or on this trail. And they bring you to a location that's, you know, going to be the cherry on top of this experience. But all along the way, they're building up that anticipation. Hey, here's where the person that we're honoring today he had his first struggle trying to reach the end of this trail. And he got bit by a bear, but survived, and now he's moving forward. Here, let's continue on this path. It's things like that that allow people to stay engaged and to really want to make it to the end of this trip. Man, I can't wait. We're going to be at the edge of this cliff looking over the forest. Wow. Can't wait. Oh, and it's at sunset. Man, absolutely. That's why I'm here. Let's continue for. Man, it's been 2 miles in. I am huffing and puffing. We're uphill now. Oh my gosh. When is this ever going to end? But this is what happens. And as a storyteller, this is what you're doing. You're pointing out what's here on the trail and bringing them all along the way to that point where they're overlooking the cliff at the sunset and looking down at all the colors in this forest that you just traversed. The climax. Right. We're not ending yet, but we're taking you to some place that is going to be magical for you. That's what we want as storytellers.
Yeah, and we gotta provide some food also, because if the story is like is going to be this, but then it's like being in a restaurant. You order something, you are waiting 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then you are still having nothing. And so when does the climax come? It's like the music of an orchestra, and dun, 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 and then 10 minutes later, dun, 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 dun. No, it has to be moving, showing that there will be something, and as soon as possible. But the sooner the better. And that's why probably in the restaurant they are giving you some snacks before the amazing dish, to set you on appetite, because you're I'm hungry, guys. It has been 40 minutes already. We are waiting. TikTok, TikTok. So, what are your thoughts here, Chris? Thank you again for joining the stage.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I was kind of digesting everything that Jay had said. I was taking the mental notes as advice, exactly what I said, what I was coming here for. So I took some notes, and I'm really glad I popped up on stage to really digest some of that and think about that going forward, especially the marketing piece. So much of what I've done has been so much of a solopreneur type thing from the get-go that, I'm beginning to wrestle with that, let go of the baby and delegate and like find out who are going to be the people that and so, it's interesting. I've got a lot to contemplate after listening to Jay. So I'm really glad I came on stage. That's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, and what I like is that in the context of storytelling, we are both, Chris and I, young Padawan, and Mr. J is Yoda. But in terms of AI, you might be the Yoda, Mr. Chris. In terms of French teaching, I might be the Yoda. So we are all learners and teachers at the same time. But if we go to this session, is to dive into storytelling, into expectations, and maybe we are expecting something. For me, it was the surprise to see the depth of what is about storytelling. That is not only about the personal storytelling, but also the storytelling with enterprises, which has like the advertisement towards the consumer, but also the back and forth between the employee and the employer, and the employer to the employee. There is also a kind of storytelling application between these two, and also the company and the providers, the company and the stakeholders, and also the type of support the storytelling in writing book, in advertisement, in talking in front of an audience on live, talking online, to having a webinar, but that is like on the replay by default. And all of these, we are not engaging to an audience of readers that are reading a book. The same, that we have an audience that is right there live, listening to us as we are speaking on stage. So for that, Mr. J, I'm really blessed that why not to make a book club, because I'm learning from the Yoda. So what are your thoughts, Mr. Yoda?
Not surprised I am.
Uh,
No, really, this is the thing about storytelling, right? It's everything that we do. I I've said this multiple times. At the core of our communications with one another is storytelling, and we do that in every facet of our life, wherever we're communicating with someone. And it took me, I'll be honest, it took me a couple of years to understand that when I first joined the call center business, right? First as an agent and then into management, it was like, I need to be able to establish rapport with the person on the other side of this phone, and I need to do it rather quickly. How do I do that? And one of the ways is in sales what they call mirroring, where you mirror the inflection, the tonality, and maybe even some of the accent of the person you're speaking to, so that immediately they hear a familiar sound. And a lot of times when somebody does that and they're masterful at it, the person on the other line will go, "Hey, have we met? You sound familiar." Right? And it really is that tactic that allows you to really connect with someone. And so when you do these things, you establish that rapport. Right. This is something when you look at, well, remember the first rule, know your audience. So if I know my audience, I can better set the expectation for what is to come next, for what they will encounter in this experience and in this journey with me. Right. As the creator of this story, you are the creator of this world. And when you have done that, you've established who your audience is, you know who they are, you've mirrored the tonality of who you want to engage with, you're going to be able to better understand what to give them so that you can keep them engaged the entire length of this journey. I know that's kind of roundabout in how I explain that, but really that's what it takes to make sure that you have these audiences with you in the world that you've created so that all the step of the way they haven't left you. Go back to the audience of clients, customers, and even employees, retention. And really, the retention that we're talking about is their attention. Right? I've got their attention. I'm going to keep it. How am I going to do that? I'm going to set them looking forward the entire time. Right. So I can remember years ago when the next pair of Jordans were going to come out. Every time Nike would set it up, man, where we're like they'd show flashes of MJ doing this and that, and then you'll see a color splash, and you go, "Wait, was that was that the red, black, and white like the first one? What's coming next?" Right? Then there'll be like the swoosh, and they'll give bits and pieces. And how many times did that create like anticipation? I can remember. I'm showing my age now because I'm going to talk about a mall that nobody goes to these days. When the next pair was dropped, there would be the news would be crazy. There'll be lines of people waiting for the next Jordans to come out. Right? Kids waiting for the next Jordans to come out, and it's because of all the anticipation that was built to be able to do that. And so that's basically what we're doing. And we're keeping everybody there along the way.
Yeah, well said, Mr. Yoda. So, what I like also is that it's a kind of a recipe. All the rules, all the tele rules are intricated together. You cannot really create an air of expectations if you don't know what your audience with, what are their desires, what are, then you are creating an expectation that would probably match your thinking, but it's not in their side. So you will really soon realize, oh, cricket, because they are jumping off really quickly. So it's really about creating value and finding the ingredients that together brings the splash and the flash and that. I was noting also make the audience invest engagement and loyalty, and also community is currency. And curiosity, I think also curiosity is currency, because when they are curious, they are engaged, they want to know more. Important, and to have the special dose, because if we are out of balance, we are making our audience so stressed, so without anything that they can receive upfront. They will not be able, will not be willing to go further. They will, no. So it's really to have the special dose that will keep your audience expected. And I will show my age also right now, also because binge watching TV series, it's, you are waiting the full season, and then in 1 or 2 weeks you are watching all the TV series that normally shows on TV. But back in the days, in the 80s, you have to show up in front of your TV to watch this special episode, and then at the end of the episode, they are showing what's next. Ooh, the hero is going to be killed. But guess what? Go to the next week to see the results. He's going to survive or not. So it's like the young and the restless. That I'm always showing my age also in the 80s, 90s about that. So what are your thoughts here, Chris?
Uh, God, I mean, I'm just really enjoying the conversation. I'm in full blown learning mode from both of you guys. You know, like you said earlier, I'm learning from two different Yodas, and you know me, like just staying on curiosity, getting the that to me is the absolute key. Curiosity is always what's driven me, and so like playing around with these technologies, getting curious about people. You know, like for instance, my own personal, like now that I'm thinking about it, my own narrative, my own storytelling thing is almost like, what if a kid never stopped being curious from 6 years old the first time he saw a science experiment and just turned it into a 40-year-old healthcare CEO? You know, like that's eventually technically my story. And you know, like I'm sitting there just going like, I still feel like that 6-year-old who's just endlessly fascinated by like what's interesting out there. So again, just learning from two masters, and um, I love it. I just love the themes you guys are hitting on. I think you guys are doing an absolute phenomenal job, and I am just taking notes.
Wow, I'm so touched because for me, it's also allowing to accept your compliments. But I think the best way of me to acknowledging your compliment and to say that I might not be Yoda, but I'm only one Kenobi. But I'm approaching, and I'm learning also. Even Yoda is learning. So I think we are also learning from our audience. Our audience might learn from us, but we are also learning from our audience. It's a give and take. It's the value. We are giving value to our audience, but the audience are giving also us value. It's really the interaction, because without us, the audience is nothing, and with the audience, we are nothing. So it's a kind of a relationship between the storyteller and the audience, the brand and the consumers. So that's why I'm, for instance, bringing the news. I'm stoked when a brand is so daring to kill their own logo, their own like Duolingo that is killing its own owl. I would say, what the f they are doing that? They are going to piss probably 60 to 70% of the audience because we were so attached to see the mascot of Duolingo. I'm not using that the software, but Duolingo is like that. It's like going to X. It's a really it's a disaster. You see what it became. So to have those to do things, but to still have enough consistency to keep things going on. Like, why not? They could have said, "Oh, our mascot is having superpowers," and now the whole is becoming a phoenix. It's an example. So rather than to kill the bird, let's say. So, Mr. Yoda, aka Jay, what are your reflections? We are going towards an end, and the session will end in 10-15 minutes maximum.
Wow. Yeah, I it's amazing what companies will do to keep and retain, like we were talking about, their audience, their consumers. But they've been doing that for a long time. We're talking about Young and the Restless. Now I'm going to go way back, even before I was born, and even before my parents were born. I think, yeah, probably. There used to be something on PBS that I watched as a kid. It was Saturday Night at the Bijou, and this program came on, and they showed the early black and white serials. And I'm going to talk about a person that probably this name has probably not been uttered for a very long time, at least in this space. His name is Gene Autry. Now, he was a cowboy figure and actor, Hollywood back in the day, right? And Hollywood created these serials like, stay tuned, see whether or not Gene Autry gets out of this mess, right? And you'd wait an entire week before the next episode occurred, right? These days, when we're binge watching, people get mad now when when an entire series isn't dropped and you have to wait for the next episode, right? Star Wars, I think, is one of those ones where you have to wait for the next episode. There's a lot of those. Netflix has some that you just have to wait for the next one. It's building the anticipation, and they've been doing this. I mentioned Gene Autry. That goes back to black and white days, even before sound was introduced to movies, right? These are the things, though. It's just that it goes back to storytelling and the effectiveness of setting that expectation. What's going to happen next? Now, there have been debacles by companies who didn't necessarily master this. I'll give you uh, I'll give you a prime example. Coca-Cola. Back in the day, they built up this huge hype, right? We're going to have this new taste. And we're not calling it Coca-Cola, we're just calling it Coke. What happened? It bombed. And to be able to go back and try to fix things, they said, we're bringing it back. Right. Now, this was a debacle. But from this, though, companies have learned that sometimes mistakes are not mistakes. And they can actually help propel the brand by creating controversy. And when you create controversy, people want to know what's going to happen next. And in this day and age of digital storytelling, and in this day and age after the advent of MTV, The Real World, reality TV, building on reality drama, what's going to happen next? Now, hang with me. There's a point to reality TV in this. We now know that reality TV isn't reality at all, and that what they've done is create that world and the hype behind it, and it's controlled. So the drama that's occurring, right, is controlled. This is part of the narrative. But here's the thing. The drama, this is the second rule of engagement, is the hook. And the hook is these two people hate each other. They want to kill each other. Let's bring that to the next show. Hey, guess what happens next? Do you think they'll actually have a fight in the house? Will somebody get kicked out? Or are they going to squash this and move forward? Brilliant, though, because it's still storytelling. And it's engaging the audience in all these rules. That drama, that creates the anticipation. What's going to happen next? And they've made it into a science, and it's an industry called reality TV.
When you say that, it brings me also something that is similar. It's the WWE, the wrestling.
No.
My friend, the wrestling, because it's really a show. It's like they are placing this. Might think it is a reality, but it's not a reality. Whatever it's about the show before they are entering the ring, the third, the clash, you see on the back, on the vestiaire, before the show, and they are fighting each other, and they are continuing the fight within the show into the ring or outside the ring. And even you see the referees or their own coaches fighting to the between coaches, these kind of things. But this is really the fake reality. And even with of course with the shots, because we might think that they are really punching each other, but they are, and that probably we know we are not anymore uh, uh, we are not anymore surprised about that, because we know that they are really not punching each other. It's really a play, but we are still cautious about it. It's amusement. It's like the gladiators. The lions are not really of course it was not the case 2000 years ago. 2000 years ago there was like the lions were really eating the athletes, the gladiators. But right now, if there are lions, they are not eating those, else it would be really a scandal. But wrestling, that's one of the best example I found.
So you know what I there are a lot of people going to hate me for saying this because they love wrestling, but it's the man's man soap opera.
It,
Really, that's what it is. It's the soap opera for dudes. Uh, because there's drama, um, and yes, there's violence, and a lot of that is um, scripted. And but there's a whole other side to that. But again, it goes back to what I was talking about with reality TV. It's scripted. There's a narrative. And the narrative is what's going to help keep the audience going to the next round or the next time they meet up in the ring. And man, I was, even as a kid, I was like, they came from the same part of the arena. How do they not see each other? Huh. Right. And so, but they had such a way of doing it that as a kid now, you suspended your disbelief. And a lot of fictional stories, that's what happens when you get them so engaged in the drama, just like you have in reality TV stuff. When you're so engaged in the story and what's going to happen next to this character, you're already so into it that it feels real, that it feels like you're going through what the character is experiencing. Right. And to put it to you this way, actors get pissed off a lot when someone goes to them on the street, recognizes them, and says, "Hey, Harry Potter, I loved you. You were great in Deathly Hallows. I loved it. Right? You did exactly what I thought you were going to do. Thank you so much for getting rid of." And I'm not saying, Daniel Radcliffe is this way, but a lot of actors get upset because it's like, hey, I'm not Harry Potter, man. I'm Daniel Radcliffe. But here's the thing, the story is so real to somebody that they think in their minds they've gotten so attached to the character because it feels so real to them that they can't detach. The character becomes so real that they can't detach. Now, it's fantasy, it's wizards and that type of thing, but they become so attached to the character. It's so personal for them because they've experienced growing up with them.
Yeah,
You still get 20-some-year-olds fangirling going, ah,
yeah. The best example I see is someone like Macaulay Culkin that will always associate this mature adult with the little kid of Home Alone because he was never having another powerful as the little boy that were seeing his parents coming on holidays without him. These characters we are not having any other thing. So we are always associating Macaulay Culkin by this little boy, but now he's 40 years old. The another actor I was not seeing the name, but he's now fighting Alzheimer, but he was in future.
Michael J. Fox.
His role is
Michael J.
always with that. Michael J. Fox, thank you. Yeah.
So
And then I
you're right.
was and on a section a call to action in the narrative arc because making a story, whatever it's about the brand or about it's maybe also certainly to see our audience doing some actions, either by doing an action about what we are telling the stories, else it will be like blah 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 without any purpose. What are your thoughts about the call to action in the class?
It's the best time to do it. It is the best time to do it. You're going to see companies. Okay, so let's say here's the Bachelor, right? A lot of times, the advertiser is somehow attached with what's going on. I say somehow, but it's planned, right? It's attached to whatever's going on in the show. And here's an example like, oh, there's this ring that he's going to buy, and it's from Zales, right? And it's this 20-carat diamond that's cut in such a way that, you know, you haven't seen this cut in years. It's a classical cut. But Zales is the only one doing it these days. And then they cut to commercial, and guess what you see? Zales. Right. That's the thing. Sometimes the call to action is so good that it's intertwined with the story that it doesn't even feel like a call to action. It doesn't feel like a call to action. It doesn't feel like you're selling me something. What happens is, again, it's being immersed, so immersed in the story that when you say something like, hey, Don helped save thousands, thousands of wildlife after the Exxon Valdez Torrance Hollow in Alaska. Dish soap. Man, wouldn't you want to support a company just like that? I know I do. I buy Don every day because of the Exxon Valdez. Man, I drive a Tesla. Well, I'm selling the Tesla now. I'm getting this other brand, but anyway, I'm just. I want you to know that I'm doing these things because I believe in the story. I believe in the brand. What did I just do there? Did I say go buy Dawn? Did I say, hey, go buy a Tesla? Because the Exxon Valdez, spilled tons and tons of oil into the environment? No. If you are able to craft the story in such a way where people are immersed, the call to action is almost subliminal. I can't say it's almost an undercurrent. It's almost an undercurrent. Don't look at it as I'm trying to sell you something. And how do I know this? This is where the storytelling strategist comes from. I worked in business for 14 years in the contact center space. People hate telemarketers so much so, right? And those robocalls, you can forget about it. People hate them. But I was in the business. And so how do you engage somebody quickly before they go, wait, you're a company? Ah, you know, you want to engage. Now, a lot of times these days, there are things called funnels. I'm not going to get into that really. We're talking about storytelling. But the funnels, essentially, imagine what a funnel is, right? It's cone shaped, and at the end, there's a little trickle or whatever. But all of the things come into this funnel and it gets routed in one location to this one area. That's a funnel. Think of it that way when it comes to where I want you to go as the company. I want you to go here. I want you to buy my product. But how do I get you there? I got to get you to talk to my telemarketer, and you're going to sign this thing that says, in order to go to the next part of looking at my product or service, you've got to give me your email and you got to give me your phone number. Well, when you do that, you agree. Nobody reads this crap. You agree to somebody, a telemarketer, to call you. 9 out of 10 times, that's what that is. It's built into the funnel. We're going to call you. And when we do, before you hang up, I've got to establish a rapport. Hey, I saw that you were looking up roofers in your area. Man, I live in Alabama. It's been raining crazy this last couple of days. Is everything okay? Is there anything I could help you with? Do you need a roofer? Right. Immediately, I give them a story, establish a rapport. I try to find out what the issue is, and then I give them the solution. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to provide a solution. Nobody wants to be sold. A lot of times people don't want to be sold. So the story is what's going to allow you to be able to connect and resonate with the person on the other
Thank
end.
you. And let me interrupt the
And then,
flow to thank again Chris, because I don't know
yeah,
when he's going to leave. But Chris, what do you think about that? And what are your message before you are leaving us? Thank you again for joining on stage.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I think Jay just hit it right, nail right on the head right there. You know, I'm in sales myself for my day job, and it so much of what he talked on. Like, I'm not going to give away too many trade secrets, but it really is like a lot of what Jay just said. Understanding not just data points and how to read and mirror. Um, people's emotions and everything like that. That point in particular, where he was speaking earlier in the show about how to adjust your voice and inflection, masterful piece to take away from that. Mirroring, active listening, humongous things that you should always do if you're a person in sales. You know, one of the classic cheesy lines salespeople always say is Nobody, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And you really like that's a motto I've always lived by. So really, truly care about your customers. And they don't make yourself just a sales rep. Make yourself a consultant. Make yourself somebody to be there. That the whoever you're partner with, that your success and their success is tied together. Because that's really what it's about is building partnerships. If you really want to be great at sales, the thing to do is not try to just close quick deals and move on and hit high commission numbers. Yeah, that you could do that, whatever. But if you could grow partnerships over time, you're going to set up your entire career. So that's my parting words. Amazing stuff, Jay. Amazing stuff, Ollie. Thanks so much for having me. Have a good one.
It's a blessing, dear Chris, and you are true. It's about honoring also our audience. Our audience, we are talking to the void, and we are here for elevating our audience. And partner really important. That's why it's really important to also go with our script. But as I say, right now, it's the time that I leave aside the script to focus on the audience. What are the feedback
Yep.
of my audience? And so that's why it's also a blessing to welcome Chris, because he's engaging. And so my gratitude to Mr. Chris.
It was a
So
pleasure, guys. Good luck.
Mr. J, yeah, thank you, Chris. Lots of love. And Mr. J, what are your message for concluding this amazing session?
yeah, one of the things to consider, and I'm going to use my own advice here. I'm going to set an of expectation. The next time we talk, I'm going to be very emotional. Why? Because we're going to be talking about the 7th rule of engagement, where we use emotion. A few rules back, we were talking about do not fear adversity. This kind of ties into it. Using emotion is going to allow you to connect with your audience. Here's why. I've said it before. There are people all across the globe that we may want to connect with, but we don't know exactly how. Right? I've never grown up in South Africa, so I don't know the culture exactly. I don't know the religion, the faith, the spirituality of the place. I don't know the terrain, the literal terrain of South Africa. I don't know. I don't know what the topography looks like. I don't know what it. I don't. Never grew up there, but I'm a human being. I, maybe some people don't agree, but I'm a human being, and I know love. I know joy. I know pain. I know compassion. I know empathy. I know suffering. These are things that are universal across the globe. And if we are able to tell a story using emotion, we're going to be able to tap into that part of the person that is going to say, "That's me. Oh, I know exactly what that feels like. Oh, wow." So stay
Yeah,
tuned.
and also
Come back for
exactly, and also the fact that not everyone are expressing their emotions the same, whether it's two people in the same country or the same culture, or even emotion expressed in Africa or in China, they are not expressing the emotion. So I was backing reflecting the OLI framework, the OLI framework: observe, listen, and investigate. So that's my final words. Happy to see you next Monday. And I don't know, it will be, there is no expectation if it's about the same as previous Monday or the same as today. Feel free to set up the time, yeah, my dear friend. It could be as last Monday or as this Monday, as you wish. But we will be there next Monday for talking about emotions. That's a topic that is really dear to my heart, because it's listening to my heart and listening to our audience heart. And again, thank you, Chris, for joining stage, and also Crystal, and also Linda for your comments. You are amazing. So, Mr. J, see you next Monday, and thank you again for partaking, for being in the show. And because for me it's about helping you, but also helping myself. So with that, I'm yielding the mic, to the void, because you are already speaking. Uh, I don't expect anything from now except to click the end button and to see to you